Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. We got some exciting updates regarding Larian Studios' next video game, Baldur's Gate 3 updates, and the Game Awards, which will be tomorrow, where there's gonna be a lot of games getting announced. Now, this is really exciting because we just saw that there is a trademark that has been filed, and a Class 9 one at that, for this Divinity logo that you see here. Class 9 being for software and some other clothing categories. Also, these icons that we have here. So it's pretty clear what we may be seeing next from Larian here, but there's a lot to discuss. Now, this whole chronicle started about a couple weeks ago whenever Geoff Keighley posted this image here saying regal inspiring thickness. Very cryptic, and my first thoughts when I seen this, I thought it was God of War, and a lot of people online did as well. There's been a lot of theories regarding this over the last few weeks, but I'm going to show where these came from and why it's likely going to be Divinity related. So this very clearly looks like one of the armor sets that you do get in God of War Ragnarok and in God of War 2016. But you also see a bear here, which could potentially be Atreus, and also an alligator like Loki. So that's why a lot of people initially were thinking that this was something from God of War. There's also a desert theme, and with the heavy theming and rumors around the God of War game that will be coming out next being set in Egypt, this one just made sense. It was kind of between this and Diablo 4 an update, and obviously Geoff Keighley was really hyping this up, so it couldn't have been something like Diablo, or else that obviously would have been a joke. Memes like this were floating around heavily whenever this was announced. Geoff Keighley is always up on stage like, this is the biggest game I've ever had the privilege to reveal. This is going to blow your mind, and I'm terrified life will never be the same. And then the game looks like this. I think it's safe to say this will not be the case tomorrow. So I guess you can comment on this in the future, but I don't think we're going to get a bad game release. I think this is very likely going to be Divinity, and potentially Divinity 3 or an Original Sin 3. There's been some wording on how Larian's publishing director even saying there won't be a new Divinity Original Sin 3. I don't know why he says new in the front of there, because there hasn't been an Original Sin 3 before, so maybe just being funny with the wording, but with Larian's publishing director saying here there is not any current plans for a new Divinity Original Sin 3. I'm not sure why he says the word new here, as there hasn't been one before, so maybe he's kind of being cheeky with this comment, but you can also see him responding to PlayStation here saying, hey, we're not supposed to announce that yet, which Reddit users were keen to notice that Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition actually was listed as a PS5 Pro enhanced game, so potentially we'll also see something related to this come tomorrow, but yeah, I think that these tweets are pretty telling here to announce that, and they have no plans for a new Divinity Original Sin 3, but once we're ready to show what we've been working on, we will. So that brings us back to this image here, which is in a desert, and this armor does remind us of somebody else, not Kratos, but the Red Prince, so this could potentially be where it's going. You can even see in a lot of the images, the armor is somewhat similar, and this would make sense. Now, we also did get images like this here of a statue out in the desert, and yeah, these do match what we saw here, which is kind of funny. So it's pretty clear what we're looking at. With the website MP First actually being the first to report this and noticing all the different trademarks that they are filing, which again, they are exactly what we're seeing here that the Game Awards were announcing and hyping up. So it's pretty clear. Yeah, a Class 9 computer game program trademark has been filed. Printed publication, clothing, and headwear. Somewhat similar to what we see with Baldur's Gate 3, as there are shirts with like the Baldur's Gate 3 logo on it. Board games, card games, trading games could be something down the road, as well as entertainment services, computer game online over a wireless network for single multiplayer use. Yeah, pretty clear what's happening here. What's even funnier is earlier this week, the Game Awards also tweeted, "The blank are silent, blank bleeds, new blank stir." Now, I almost made a video on this actual tweet because this was very clearly referencing what's going to be coming next. And a lot of Bloodborne players thought that this would have been Bloodborne 2. If you go through tweet responses, Reddit, everything was freaking out thinking this was Bloodborne. Now, I also thought that this could have been something Souls-like. It's vague enough for a game like that. But also the Lords of the Fallen, which has some very similar imagery, like the Runes of a Deer. I actually played the Lords of the Fallen game that came out a couple years ago. I played through it 3 times. Not a fantastic game, but I kind of enjoyed it from time to time. And it was actually looking very like this would have been Lords of the Fallen too. But for him to hype it up for a game like that, it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't think that that would end up being the case. I thought it had to be something a little bit more. And I'm glad that these new trademarks have popped up because it's not going to be an embarrassment to watch the Game Awards this year. I actually do think that we're going to be seeing something new from Larian Studios. So my personal thoughts are we're likely going to be getting some explanation for this this. It's all going to come together, and it's very clear that we just saw this trademark for Divinity. Now, with their publishing director saying it's not Divinity Original Sin 3, it could be Divinity 3, it could be Original Sin 3, it could be Divinity. There's just so many ways they could go about naming this game. It could be a sequel, it could be, because there's a lot of things that it could be. And they could even go the action RPG route, or many of their other older games like Divinity 2 Ego Draconis, which is not like you'd expect from Larian if you've known them for Divinity Original Sin 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. This game, you could literally turn into a dragon. I think it'd be cool to see something like, almost akin to like The Witcher 3, made by Larian with their cinematics and storytelling. I think we'd be in for a good time with something like that, because it is really hard to say if they're going to take the CRPG approach this time, or are they going to make an ARPG? Now, Sven did say in the past that they are working on 2 different games, and one of them will surprise us. I don't think the Divinity game will be much of a surprise. Like, it kind of made sense that this would be the next logical step for Larian Studios with something of their own IP instead of like Baldur's Gate 3. I'm curious what your thoughts are, though, so you can leave them in the comments below. I have a really good feeling that we're going to see something like a CRPG, though. Like, I honestly think they've learned quite a bit from Baldur's Gate 3, and they've even said in the past that they've learned stuff while making this game that they'll be using in their future games to kind of enhance that. Now, I also think that they may be working on something that's not like fantasy, like a medieval setting. They may be doing something like futuristic. If you played other games like the Rogue Trader by Owlcat, you'll know that those styles of worlds actually play really nice in a CRPG setting. So obviously the announcement tomorrow is going to be something related to Divinity, but we'll also likely see something else from Larian in the future. But I personally do think that we will see Divinity Original Sin 2 Remaster coming for PlayStation 5 and Pro Enhanced, since this is already kind of leaked that it is coming. It's very likely. Really great game. If you haven't played it already, go play Divinity Original Sin 2. You'll have a blast if you like Baldur's Gate 3. And with Baldur's Gate 3, you can still vote for Best Community Support if you haven't already. I have talked about this in a few different videos. Go vote for them if you haven't already. They deserve it. Honestly, with Patch 8 coming out, dropping all the new subclasses, photo mode, cross-play with mods, doing the unthinkable, and making 1,000 mods now available to PlayStation 5 and Xbox players. Honestly, Larian deserves all the praise in the world for what they've been doing. And I guess I just want to end off with a note here about a class mod that I have been working on myself. You may be wondering why these icy owl bears are looking the way that they do. Well, I have put together a mod. I have talked about it in a couple of other videos, and I'm sharing updates in my Discord server. But yeah, I got a full-on this class mod. It's taken almost over 100 hours actually now at this point, with custom weapons that you can summon in, custom spells. There's a ton of different spells here that are cold-themed versions of spells from the base game with some different nerfs. I tried to make this as balanced as possible. Obviously, when you introduce summons, this is actually one of the level 17, because I did put level 20 support in this as well. So it is somewhat balanced to level 12. I've had people go through and play test it already, giving me feedback on it. I'm excited. It'll hopefully be releasing later this week, and I hope to potentially get this on console as well. I made it all entirely within the toolkit, retextured things, and just basically made use of all the knowledge that I've gained with thousands of hours in Baldur's Gate 3 to recreate something I think is fun and worth playing. So yeah, you can stay tuned for this. I'll be doing a video obviously whenever this comes out. Hopefully be able to release it later this week. But yeah, I just wanted to end off with that because it's something I've been putting a lot of time towards, and it's kind of a little gift to everyone for the holiday seasons and helping me reach 100K subscribers. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day. Leave a comment below what you think is going to be getting announced tomorrow at the Game Awards, or if you're watching after the Game Awards, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. We'll have to see. But have a great day, and we'll catch y'all next time.